So this is a deep dive into live streaming on YouTube Shorts. We'll get you set up with a professional stream from start to finish. If you just want a quick 3-minute overview that will get you going live straight away, then I'll put that 3-minute guide in the description. And very quickly, we'll start with some very simple requirements. Firstly, this is for PC or Mac streamers who want to go live on YouTube Shorts. If you're going to do video games, I suggest at least a mid-range PC or a gaming laptop. That's because you need a graphics card that handles both live streaming and encoding the game at the same time. You need to unlock YouTube streaming, and I'll show you how to do that. I strongly recommend a webcam or using your smartphone as a camera if you don't have one. It is proven that you get more engagement and viewers using a webcam or smartphone as a camera. And of course, you need a microphone, and again, I strongly recommend a headset instead of just speakers to reduce echo. And we'll be using OBS with the Aitum Vertical plugin, and I'll show how to get both of those later on. Okay, let's just start out by making sure YouTube streaming is unlocked. You're just going to start anywhere on YouTube, click your profile picture in the top right, and then click on YouTube Studio. So once we're in YouTube Studio, I'm going to click on Settings in the bottom left corner. I'm going to click onto Channel and then Feature Eligibility. And then you want to, number 2, make sure that live streaming is unlocked. And while you're at it, I recommend you just unlock the advanced features as well. And we'll come back to YouTube Studio later because this is part of where you start your live stream. But let's get on with setting up our live stream. You're going to start by downloading and installing OBS Studio. I'll put it in the description. Do not open it yet. And that is because we want to download and install Aitum Vertical, which is a plugin for OBS. And I'm going to be here on the other side of the screen just so I'm not hiding anything, but go ahead and open up OBS, and we want to get Aitum Vertical showing. So if you can't see the vertical and scenes and sources on the right hand side, you want to click on docs and make sure vertical scenes, vertical sources and vertical is checked. And if you know about scene transitions, you can enable those too. And if you need to move them around, by the way, you can just click on it to drag it and place it anywhere you want. I like this setup with landscape on the left and vertical on the right. You might be wondering why we're keeping the landscape canvas. Well, this is just going to let you either multi-stream on something like Twitch or Kick or YouTube Landscape, or just record landscape video for YouTube, or do both of those. I think this is best practice for content creators in 2024. So we will set up both landscape and vertical. Of course, the main focus will be on vertical for our YouTube short streaming. And just let's begin by creating a new profile, which is going to give us some good OBS settings. So at the top, I'm going to click on Profile and New. So let's pretend I'm using vertical for YouTube Shorts streaming, and I'm going to use landscape just for recording. So I've named this profile YouTube Short Stream plus Recording. Check the auto config wizard and press OK. We're going to optimize it for streaming, and recording is secondary. Press next. Now this is for the landscape canvas, so we're choosing 1920 by 1080 and 60 FPS. We'll press next again. Now if you're going to choose to multi-stream at this point, choose wherever you're going to multi-stream on, or you can come back to this later like I'm going to do. So I'm just going to click on custom, and regardless of what you've chosen, you want to uncheck the estimate bitrate box, leave the hardware encoding checked, and I'm going to change the bitrate between 6 and 9,000. If it's Twitch, it has to be 6,000. So I'll leave it on 6,000. Anything over 9,000, there's no point because a 1080p live stream doesn't look any better over 9,000. I also just have to randomly type anything into this box here. Again, we'll come back to that later. It doesn't matter too much here. I'll press next. So now OBS is suggesting good settings, so I'll press apply. Now we'll come back to the settings for Aitum Vertical later. For now, let's set a new scene collection. So click on scene collection at the top and click on new. Name it whatever you want. I've named mine short streaming plus recording scenes and press OK. And now you should have a blank set of both scenes on the left and on the right vertical scenes. So before we add anything to our canvases, let's add in our headset, microphone, and a filter for the microphone. So either file settings or just click on settings and head to audio. Underneath desktop audio, you're going to find your headset. Underneath mic, you're obviously going to find your microphone. And that's all for now here. We will press OK. And now let's add the filter to our microphone. We're going to add noise suppression to remove the sound of AC, fans, etc. This is the single best filter for OBS in my opinion. It really will improve your audio quality. So right click the mic or click the 3 dots and click on filters. Press the plus button, find noise suppression, press OK, and RN noise is usually fine. If your room is really bad and you have an NVIDIA graphics card, you might want noise removal plus the room echo removal. Anyway, I'll leave mine on RN noise. I'll press close. And what this has now done is it's added both our microphone and our desktop computer audio to both the landscape and vertical canvas. You can of course test the mic by speaking, and you can see the green bar moving up and down, and you can just play any sound on your computer to check the desktop audio bar moves up and down as well. So let's get on with setting up our YouTube Shorts live stream. We'll set up a full camera scene, and we'll set up the standard camera and gameplay scene. And then afterwards, we'll look at a few things such as adding alerts on top, adding in overlays and good settings. So I'm going to start on the right where it says vertical scenes. I'm going to right click the vertical scene and choose rename. And I'm going to call this one full camera vertical and press OK. And on the left under these scenes, I'm going to right click rename, and we're just going to call this one full camera and press enter. And we're not going to add anything just yet. We're just going to create a second scene. So I'll press the plus button. I'll call it computer display vertical. You might want to call it gameplay vertical, whatever you want. We'll press OK. Again, this is going to be our camera and our computer display. So I'll press OK on that one. And on the left, we'll do the same thing. So I'll name this computer display and I'll press OK. Now here's a little trick. I'm going to right click the computer display vertical, choose linked scenes, and link it with the landscape computer display. And likewise, I'm going to right click full camera vertical and link it with full camera landscape. So just watch when I'm clicking back and forth. You see these blue bars moving, that will link them together. Anyway, let's click on the full camera and let's get the camera added. We'll start on vertical. I'll press the plus button. The camera is called a video capture device, and I'll press new. And I'm going to add in my OBS tail camera. And I've made the settings a little bit bigger because what I recommend you do is underneath resolution FPS type, choose custom, and then just manually make sure it's either 1080p, or if you have a 4K camera, set it to 4K, pick the maximum FPS. If you know the best video format, then choose that. If not, leave it on any. The other settings are usually fine, so you can then press OK. Now you can see on the right, my camera has now been added. Of course, it's way too zoomed in. So there's a few things you can do. You can right click, transform, and choose one of these fit, stretch, center, etc. options. Or you can just manually adjust it. So I can click on the vertical source. You can see these squares have appeared. So I can just keep dragging until it's looking the way I want it. You can also crop things. So I can hold Alt and drag some of these squares. You can see it's now cropping it. So for example, I'm removing a lot of the green space at the top, and I'm going to drag it down, and I'm just going to keep moving it until it's where I want it. Once you're happy with your camera's positioning, lock it into place, and let's add it to landscape now. So let's press the plus button, video capture device, add existing, because we've already added it. Now let's click onto the video capture device and press OK. This time I'm going to right click, transform, and fit it to screen. And then I would probably just go ahead and hold Alt and crop it if I wanted to. But we're mainly focused on YouTube Shorts here, so I'll leave this and I'm going to lock it into place. This is so we don't accidentally click it. One last thing I'm going to do, right click, rename, and instead of video capture device, I'm going to give it its proper name. This is my OBS tail. So I've renamed it. You can see it's renamed it in both places. Anyway, let's click on computer display on the left. Now let's add in the camera again. And then of course, we'll add in a computer display. So we'll start with the camera, video capture device. It's already on the list as the OBS tail layer. Again, I've got to resize it and crop it. So I'll be back in a second once that's done. There we go. That'll do for me. And before we move to landscape, let's now add in our computer display. So I'll press the plus button and we'll find display capture. This is going to show everything on our screen. So you just have to be careful what you show. If you want to be more careful, you can also add game capture or window capture. I just like to keep it simple, and I'm just careful what I show. So I'll go ahead with display capture. Capture method can be left on automatic. I'm going to choose my correct screen. We'll capture the cursor and we'll press OK. I'm going to lock my OBS tail layer in place just so I don't accidentally move it. Now I'm just going to drag this around and place it where we want. Obviously, a classic one is just 1/3 at the top is the camera and 2/3 at the bottom is the display. Some people might just make it something like this, where they've got the full computer display and then they'll add an image, chat, or something at the bottom. But anyway, I'll expand it down, and here's a trick. Right click, transform, center horizontal. So it's now perfectly centered in the horizontal axis, and I'll lock it into place when I'm happy with that. Now for landscape and for vertical, the order of the sources matters depending on what shows on top of something else. So on this one, we'll start by adding in our display capture, add existing display capture. Again, you could rename this to the name of your monitor if you wanted to. Anyway, I'm happy with that. I'll lock it into place, and we have to add the camera on top. So again, we already have the camera. We'll add it as an existing camera. I'll start by right click, fit to screen, and then I'll shrink it down even more. And then I'll crop it so it's just my green screen. Now, I do have green screen tutorials on the channel, by by the way, if you have a green screen like me. We're not really too focused on that. Let's crop it, something like that, and I'll shrink it down a bit more. And you place your camera where you want. Different games may need the camera placed in different places so it's not covering the UI. I'm going to put it on the left, and you can use the arrow key, so I want it 10 pixels to the right of the left-hand side, so that's perfectly 10 pixels. Then I can right-click, transform, and this time center it vertically, so it's now perfectly 10 pixels off the right and centered perfectly vertically. And again, lock things in place when you're happy with them. And again, we can click back and forth. We now have a very basic YouTube short stream setup and landscape as well, just because it's good practice. So you could now theoretically go live, but I strongly recommend that we further customize it to help us get more subs, views, members, etc. And one of the key things we add for that is alerts, and let's add Streamlabs. And it's suddenly started raining really heavily here, so hopefully you guys can't hear that. Anyway, let's head to streamlabs.com and either click login or click sign up, and either log in with a Streamlabs ID or using your YouTube account. And let's just start by double checking your YouTube account is connected. Click onto settings, find account settings and platform, and underneath YouTube, make sure the correct YouTube account is connected. And there's quite a few useful features here on Streamlabs. That includes alerts, donations, and CloudBot. So let's start with alerts. Let's click on alert box at the top. I'm going to skip any tutorials. You can go through them if you want. But basically, this page is where you add your alerts and customize them. On the left, you can click on every different type of alert, and you can press the preview button on the right to see what each alert looks like. The Streamlabs defaults are fine if you don't want to make any changes. So let's go ahead and add our alerts into our OBS. So it says click here to copy. So I'll press copy. Now let's head back into OBS, and underneath vertical sources, we have to add it to both the full camera and the computer display. We'll start on the computer display, press the plus button. This time it's browser source and press new. Replace this URL with the Streamlabs one. You can alter the width and height if you want. So if you think your alerts are looking strange, just double click it to change the width or the height, and it will resize the alerts. I'm going to shut down source when not visible, and I'll press OK. Now I'm going to make sure immediately this is renamed because it just calls it browser. So right click, rename, and I've renamed it to Streamlabs Alerts, and I'll press OK. So you can see if we click on Streamlabs Alerts, this red square is where it goes. I'm just going to right click, transform, and I'm just going to center it perfectly to the screen. You place it wherever you want, and now we have to add it into the full camera vertical as well. So plus button, browser, and of course it's already there. So once again, I'm just going to right click, transform, and center it to screen and lock it in place when I'm happy. And I'll go back to the computer display vertical, lock it in place too. Just best practice so you don't accidentally click things. Now we can test it. So let's head back to the website. And I've clicked on subscribers here. I'm not sure you have to do that. We'll just click on test YouTube subscribers. Now I've got quite a fancy one here. Yours will probably be more default, but it says new subscriber Kevin, and it's popped up onto the screen. So at this point, you might want to just unlock the source, play around with it, resize it. You can double click it to change these dimensions. Once you're happy with it, lock it into place. Let's move to the next useful Streamlabs feature. And this one is the tipping page, otherwise known as donations. So obviously start on this page by connecting PayPal and or Stripe, and you can click on the design history and settings if you want. Usually the defaults are fine. And this is most useful for people who don't have YouTube super chats enabled yet. If you haven't got your 3,000 watch hours and you haven't got your 500 subs, let's click onto this page, which is our donation page. And what we're going to do, we're going to add this to our YouTube bio. You could put this in the description as well. I think because it's YouTube Shorts, it's not clickable. So anyway, let's head back into YouTube Studio, and we're going to click on customization on the left, go to basic info. And of course, you've got 5 links available, or you can use something like Linktree if you've run out. Give it a name, something like donations, Control V, and paste it in, and then press publish. So now you can tell people the donation link is in the bio if they ask, or you can just proactively tell people. And once they donate, it will appear on the stream because we have added it as an alert. It will also appear in this recent event section on the Streamlabs dashboard. And one final thing we're going to do on Streamlabs is add in CloudBot. So click on CloudBot on the left. These moderation tools can sometimes go over the top, but you can leave it on minimum or off and just play around with it depending on how you find that it works. But of course, before we get to that, we have to activate CloudBot. So we'll check the box to activate, and it'll say it's active at the top. But what you might have to do first is copy what it says here, go into the settings and add Streamlabs as a moderator. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to right click Streamlabs and copy the link address. And back in YouTube Studio, settings and community and managing moderators, you can see I've already got it added. But if you don't, just paste in that URL or just type in Streamlabs and add Streamlabs as a moderator, and then just make sure CloudBot is activated. So why do we add CloudBot? Well, partly it does have moderation and you can play around with that if you want, but the main thing I like is the commands. So you can see I added a age command. You can add in anything. So let's say people keep asking me what my keyboard is. So I'm going to click on add command. The command is !keyboard. Usually people start with an exclamation mark just so it's not accidentally typed or activated. You can make the command whatever you want though. And this is what the bot responds with. So the bot's going to respond with Harry has a ducky 1-2 mini. Now this is just an example. You might want to put for something like this, like an Amazon affiliate link. That is up to you. Anyway, press confirm. And now whenever anybody types !keyboard into the chat, it tells them what my keyboard is. You can also set timers here. So you can see what I've done is I've set a reminder every 30 minutes, that's 30 here, to subscribe to the channel. So you probably saw at the start of the video, I had a custom overlay. And of course, this just makes your live stream look a little bit more professional. So let's look at some methods to get custom overlays, including free and paid methods. And again, we're just going to start on Streamlabs with the themes and overlays. So there is some free overlays on Streamlabs and some paid ones. If you want to try Streamlabs Ultra for $9 off the first month, then you can use my affiliate link. I'll put that in the description. If you just want the free ones, then I believe you go on the advanced search and just type in the word free. And you can see these are all made by Streamlabs, which indicates that they are free. So you can just click on whichever one you want. Unfortunately, it can be a bit complicated to get the themes onto OBS. For this, I recommend the Streamlabs plugin for OBS, and I'll put a video about that in the description. Another free method to get overlays is Canva. So I know they have a lot of overlays for landscape. Let's see if they have any for vertical. So I'm just going to search for live stream. And you would basically just scroll through to see if they have any free templates for a vertical live stream. I've actually switched it to typing TikTok stream because, of course, there's way more TikTok overlays than YouTube Shorts because of how new YouTube Shorts is. This one is a paid one, but just search through and find any paid or free ones from Canva. Now let's pretend that this one is vertical. You would just click on customize, and when you're happy with it, you would go into the top right corner, share and download the files. Now the one I strongly recommend, because it's fully customizable, of course you pay for this, is Fiverr. I'll put my Fiverr affiliate link in the description if you want to support my work. But basically you can just go on the overlay page, again this is linked in the description, and just find an artist and just send them a message. You can DM every single person on Fiverr and say, hey, can you make me a vertical overlay? I'm going to stream on YouTube Shorts. Tell them what you want and they'll send you a quote and a price, and then you'll get a fully customizable overlay. The overlay that I was using at the start of the stream, that is from Fiverr. That's actually from this guy down here, Faraz. Finally, just one more provider of overlays. We're on Owned TV. These are not as customizable, but they're just ready to download. So all you do is pay them and you'll have the overlay files within a minute. So if you want to check out Own TV, again, I'll put my affiliate link for that in the description. You just want these stream overlay packages, and you just have to find the ones which are vertical. Regardless of how you've got your overlay, let's go back to OBS and look at how to add it to the vertical section. So let's say I have a starting soon screen. So for me, I actually just adapted my landscape one to be vertical. Anyway, let's press the plus button and I'll say starting vertical and press OK. Now what I did was I added a video background and then my starting soon screen, so that the video background is not a VLC video source, it's a media source, and I'll press new. And then I just added a looped file. So I just chose the file, press OK, and then I just resized it down to fit the screen. Right click, transform, center horizontally. And then I added an image, which is my starting image on top. So here's my starting soon image. Then I just right click, transform and fit it to screen. And of course, press OK to confirm it and lock everything into place. And I now have a nice starting soon overlay on my vertical sources. And then you would just click on each one where you want to add in your overlay. Keep in mind that the order of your sources matters. So if you need to drag something beneath something or above something, just go ahead and do that. Otherwise it might be hidden. Anyway, once you're happy with your overlays, let's now look a little bit deeper into Aitum Vertical and what it can do. Of course, it's going to help us live stream, and we'll look at going live at the end of the video. Let's click onto the Aitum Vertical settings to start with and just make sure we have decent settings. So on this page, this looks fine. Again, this is for our vertical canvas. We want to make sure backtrack is running while we're streaming or recording. This is going to let us easily clip the last, in my case, 60 seconds of the live stream. And I can do that by pressing Alt-R. If you have a Stream Deck, you can assign Alt-R to your Stream Deck. You can also just press this button here, which is the backtrack button, and that will instantly clip in vertical the last 60 seconds of your live stream. I've seen people put this anywhere from 20 to 120 seconds. Of course, it's great for gaming moments or whatever you were doing in that last amount of time. So strongly recommend backtrack. That's a reason we installed Aitum Vertical. Let's click onto streaming, and what you can see here is that I've set this up for multi-streaming. So if you want a multi-stream, I'll put my guide to getting a TikTok stream key and Instagram stream key in the description. Of course, we're focused on YouTube Shorts. We'll get both the server URL and the YouTube Shorts stream key a little bit later. But just make sure your video bitrate is somewhere between 6,000 and 9,000. And keep in mind, if you're multi-streaming, let's say I now enabled TikTok multi-streaming, this is now using 6 times 2, it's now using 12K of upload stream. Make sure you just use the main OBS settings, that keeps it simple, and we set some decent settings earlier on. And you can also just record in vertical, that's this red dot here. You might want to up this video bitrate to match the 6,000 as well. And so you've now set up Aitum Vertical and OBS in case you want to just easily record vertical content for TikTok Reels and Shorts. So that's really everything set there on the Aitum Vertical settings, so we'll press OK. Let's briefly look at the other OBS settings. So again, we did set up this landscape canvas, so let's click into settings. Now, firstly, if you want to record the landscape canvas while you're streaming on Shorts, then what we want is automatically record when streaming. So you just check this one. And of course, make sure you apply OK whenever you make any changes. So that's just great if you want to post a YouTube video or a VOD of your live stream. Of course, on YouTube, the Shorts vertical VOD will be left there, and I recommend you do not unlist them. Leave it public, then it counts as your 4K, 3K watch hours. Anyway, I'll uncheck that. I don't want to record it when streaming. Let's look at stream. So let's say I want to stream on Twitch and YouTube Shorts at the same time. I just change the service to Twitch and I connect my account. I would then just hit the start streaming button down here and I'd be live on Twitch. You can do that with other platforms too. There's guides on my channel for Kick and various other platforms. You can also, by the way, stream in both landscape and vertical on YouTube at the same time. That just means there's more potential for reach. Of course, your landscape stream may be more likely to be seen on the homepage and in suggested videos. So consider that. You would just choose YouTube RTMPS. Now we've already got good settings. That's when we made our profile at the start of the video on everything else in these OBS settings. So we don't have to change much else. We'll press OK when we're happy. Now, before we go live, I'm going to recommend that you add your chat into OBS so you can easily read it. Now, there's a lot of ways to do this. I am going to recommend for this one, Streamlabs. So this is a multi-chat combiner. So even if you're just using YouTube, you can use it. But again, I think this is just good practice in case you choose to multi-stream to somewhere like TikTok, Kick, or Twitch. So go ahead and download Streamlabs. And once you've got Streamlabs open, it's technically called Streamlabs Caffeinated. Click on widgets and alerts and press the plus button. I think I'm kind of hiding it behind me. Press the plus button and interaction and chat. Now let's look at the settings that I've got. So I'll just click through them. You can get these to look whatever the way you want. Make sure underneath platform, you've got everything selected, but there might be nothing showing on platform because I think I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's click onto settings first, click on accounts. Just make sure your YouTube and anywhere else you're multi-streaming is connected. Then you might have to go back to the widgets and alerts and make sure everything is connected here. Anyway, once you're done with that, you can click copy link in the top right corner, or you can do it from here. Click the 3 dots, copy the link. Now this time we're not going to add it as a browser source. We're going to add it as a doc. So click on docs and custom browser doc. I've named mine Streamlabs Multi-Stream Chat, and into this box here, Control V and paste it and press apply. Now this box should pop out. It's just a white box. We're just going to drag this into place. So for example, I'm going to put it on the left and then just increase the size of it. And I'm going to press apply to get rid of it as well. And of course, I have to press close too. Now there's nothing showing. Unfortunately, you can't test this on YouTube until you go live. But if you did connect your Twitch like I did, you can just type into your Twitch. You can also type into your Kick. So if you connected one of those two, you can actually test it. And what I can see is I've got white text on a white background. So I have to go into Streamlabs, click on it. And then what I would just do is find the text style and customize the color so that it is not white. So I'll just set it to red very quickly. And now you can see I can nicely read my chat inside OBS. Just make sure you open Streamlabs in the background while you're live. If you want to add this on screen, by the way, so the viewers can see it as well, you would just add it as a browser source the same way we added the Streamlabs alerts. Now you might want to repeat the docs process for the Streamlabs recent events. Alternatively, in CloudBot, one more feature which I probably should have showed earlier on. In the modules section, turn on the chat alerts, so you'll see CloudBot will type every single alert into the chat. That's useful as well. And in that case, if CloudBot's typing in your chat, it will appear in the CastleLabs multi-stream feed. So of course, we're now fully set up. We've got a professional looking stream with overlays if you chose, with multi-streaming potentially, with landscape recording or multi-streaming in landscape if you want that. Let's look at how to actually go live on YouTube. And of course, specifically YouTube Shorts. So we're going to head back to YouTube, and you can do this anywhere. I'm inside the studio, click the plus button and click on Go Live. I'm discarding changes because I didn't need to save those changes. And if you get a pop-up like this, I'm going to press Start, and I'm going to choose the streaming software option. If you don't have the pop-up, you just press Schedule Stream. You can see it grayed out in the top right. Choose the streaming software option and press Go. And now this is important when we set up our first stream, that we get all the settings right, because for future streams, we can just copy the previous settings, which is great. So for stream latency, I'm going to recommend ultra low latency. Underneath the select stream key, I'm going to click create new stream key. I'm going to name this one YouTube Shorts Stream Key. Leave all the other options correctly. I capitalized the E, so let me correct that. We'll press create. And we're just going to use this fixed YouTube Shorts stream key for every short live stream. Before we copy it into OBS, let's change some of the other settings. So I'll press edit in the top right corner. Of course, we don't want this just to be named Harry Streaming Shortcuts Live Stream. So now just give your stream a title, you know, probably something more creative than Live Fortnite, but just as an example, Live Fortnite. Add anything you want in the description. You could, again, add your donation links. Again, I'm not sure they're clickable because it's YouTube Shorts. Click on customization. I recommend the chat replay. You can decide whether it's subscriber only and how long they have to be subscribed for, or set it to anyone. I recommend like a short slow mode, like 5 to 10 seconds, so 7 seconds, just to stop people from spamming. You guys know how it is. There's often kids in the chat who will just spam. Anyway, when you're happy with your settings, press save, and that gets reflected if I close this into the chat on the right hand side. And for some reason it's missing, I don't know if this is a recent change. Underneath the additional settings, if you have auto start and auto stop, make sure those are checked. That just means when you press start streaming inside OBS and when you end the stream in OBS, it will automatically end it. Worth noting, by the way, since I forgot, strongly recommend a thumbnail just in case the YouTube short stream surfaces somewhere that isn't YouTube Shorts. Although I think most of the viewers will be in the YouTube Shorts feed and the thumbnail's not as relevant. So now let's add the stream key to OBS. So I'm going to start with the stream URL. We'll press copy. You can copy the backup server if you want. It doesn't really matter. So where we add this, we click on the settings in Aitum Vertical, click on streaming, and I have to scroll up a bit. Underneath YouTube Shorts, you paste it in here, and then we just do the same for the key. So we'll copy the key. We'll go back into OBS, back into Aitum Vertical settings, and paste the key in here. And we'll press OK to confirm that. And we're now ready to go live. If you want to share your stream, you can press share in the top right corner, and you can just copy this link to share it. You can use this YouTube Studio to monitor the stream while you're live, but we did add the chat into OBS, so you can just ignore it as well if you want. But if you do want to see the number of people in your stream, for example, you might have to briefly look at the YouTube Studio. Anyway, we're now ready to go live. So if you're multi-streaming, you might have this drop down which lets you choose where you go live on, or just start all. If you just entered the YouTube short streaming info, then you just press the green button and you're now live on YouTube Shorts. Like I said earlier, if you want a TikTok stream key, I strongly recommend streaming on TikTok as well. I'll put a video on screen now to get one.